Lodem et gloria Dei sui, ad veritatem quoque nostram totusque ecclesiae sue sancte.
Amen.
Holding his hands extended, he reads in subdued voice the secret.
Tua Domine propitiatione et Beate Mariae Sanctae Virginis intercessione, ad perpetuam atque presentem et oblatio nobis proficiat prosperitatem et pacem, per Dominum nostrum Iesum Christum Filium Tuum, qui tecum vivit et regnat in unitate Spiritus Sancti Deus.
On reaching the word Deus of the prayer's conclusion, he pauses before beginning the preface. Then he turns the pages of the Missal to find the preface.
Per omnia saecula saeculorum.
Amen.
Dominus vobiscum.
Et cum spiritu tuo.
Taking a closer look,
Sursum corda.
Habemus ad Dominum.
Gratias agamus Domino Deo nostro.
Dignum et justum est.
Vere dignum et justum est.
he raises his hands and, facing the Missal, holds them parallel to each other at the height of the shoulders, continuing the preface.
Et te veneratione Beate Mariae Sanctae Virginis collodare benedicere et predicare, supplici confessione dicentes. Sanctus.
When he begins the Sanctus, he joins his hands and bows moderately. Regesting himself at the Benedictus qui venit, he makes the sign of the cross.
Domine Domini, Hosanna in excelsis.
He extends and raises his hands, whilst also raising his eyes to the cross at the same time.
Digitur clementissime Pater, per Iesum Christum Filium Tuum Dominum nostrum, supplices rogamus ac petimus. Uti accepta habeas et benedictas, ec dona, ec munera, ec sancta sacrificia libata.
These signs of the cross are made over the chalice and the host together. Keeping his feet facing the altar, the celebrant turns the upper part of his body somewhat towards the Missal. In doing so, he keeps the Missal and the oblata between his extended hands. The celebrant will turn to face the altar when he blesses the oblata and when he bows. At the memento, he raises his hands and joins them, holding them at the top of his breast or near his face without touching it, and bows his head slightly. In doing so, he makes remembrance of those for whom he wishes to pray. Then he extends his hands again and continues the canon.
Et nota devotio pro quibus tibi oferimus, per qui tibi oferunt hoc sacrificium laudis processus omnibus, for redemptione animarum suarum prospe salutis et incolumitate.
The celebrant uses his left hand to turn the pages of the Missal. Each time he turns a page of the Missal, he places his right hand on the altar. If it's before the consecration, outside of the corporal, whereas after the consecration, on the corporal.
Communicantes et memoria venerantes in premis gloriose Sanctae Virginis Mariae Genetricis Dei et Domini nostri Iesu Christi, sedet Beti Iosef et Iosem Virginis sponsi, et Beatorum Apostolorum ac Martyrum Tuorum Petri et Pauli, Andrei Jacobi, Ioannis, Tomé, Jacobi, Philippi, Bartholomei, Mattei, Simonis et Tadei, Lini, Cleti, Clementis, Xisti, Cornelii, Cipriani, Lorenzi, Chrysogoni, Ioannis et Pauli, Cosme et Damiani, et omnium sanctorum tuorum, quorum meritis precibusque concilias, ut in omnibus protectionis tuum moniamur auxilio, per eundem Christum Dominum nostrum. Amen.
At the conclusion of the prayer communicantes, the celebrant joins his hands. When he says Hanc igitur, he spreads his hands over the oblata, keeping them joined together by the thumbs, which are crossed right upon left. He will only join them again at the end of the prayer.
Hanc igitur oblationem servitutis nostre, selecum te familie tue quesumus Domini, ut placatus ac scipias iesque nostros in tua pacilis bonas, atque ab aeterna damnatione nos eripi, et in electorum tuorum iubeas rege numerari, per Christum Dominum nostrum. Amen. Quam oblationem tu Deus in omnibus quesumus, benedictam, adscriptam, ratam, rationabilem, acceptabilem que faceri dineris, ut nobis corpus, et de sanguis fiat delectissimi filii tui Domini nostrum.
He blesses in the following manner: The first 3 signs of the cross are made over the chalice and host together, the 4th solely over the host, and the last solely over the chalice. Having finished the prayer, he joins his hands and bows his head to the cross. If a ciborium filled with small hosts is to be consecrated, the celebrant uncovers it. If necessary, he lightly wipes the tip of the index finger and thumb of each hand on the corporal, while saying,
Qui predie quam pateritur,
he takes hold of the host,
accepit panem in sancta sec venerabiles manus suas,
raises his eyes for a moment to the cross and lowers them immediately again.
levatis oculis in caelum a te Deum Patrem
He bows his head profoundly at the words.
tibi gratias agens,
He makes the sign of the cross with his right hand,
benedixit,
taking the host also with his right. The celebrant continues.
deditque discipulis suis dicens, accipitet manducat ex hoc
He
omnes.
pauses a little, bends down over the altar, laying his elbows on it. He pronounces reverently the words of consecration.
Hoc est enim corpus meum.
Still holding the host, the celebrant genuflects and adores the Blessed Sacrament. He raises the sacred host with both hands so that it can be seen by the people while continuing to keep his eyes on it. He reverently lowers the host and lays it on the corporal with his right hand. Should there be a ciborium which has been consecrated, the celebrant covers it, having genuflected. Let us have another look at this.
Qui predie quam pateritur, accepit panem in sancta sec venerabiles manus suas, et elevatis oculis in caelum a te Deum Patrem summa omnipotentem, tibi gratias agens, benedixit fregi delitque discipulis suis dicens, accipitet manducate ex hoc omnes. Hoc est enim corpus meum.
From this point onwards, until the ablutions, the celebrant, when not handling the host, keeps the index finger and thumb of each hand always joined together. The celebrant uncovers the chalice. Holding the index finger and thumb of each hand over the centre of the chalice, he lightly rubs them together to detach any tiny fragments of the host which may by chance have adhered to them. Then, standing erect, he says,
Simili modo postquam cenatum est.
taking the chalice with both hands, having raised it a little for a moment,
Accipiens et un precalorum calicem in
he then
sancta sec
replaces it
venerabiles
on the
manus
corporal.
suas.
He bows his head.
Idem tibi gratias agens.
He makes the sign of the cross over the chalice.
Benedixit.
His left hand is placed on the foot of the chalice. He continues,
Delitque discipulis suis dicens, accipite et bibite ex eo omnes.
having finished the words, he leans his arms on the altar, raises the chalice a little, bends down over it, and reverently pronounces the words of consecration.
Hic est enim calix sanguinis mei, novi et aeterni testamenti, mysterium fidei, qui pro vobis et pro multis effundetur in remissionem peccatorum.
He places the chalice on the altar, whilst saying in a low voice,
Et quatiescumque feceritis in me memoriam facietis.
he genuflects and adores the precious blood. Rising, he takes the chalice in both hands and slowly raises it so that it can be seen without difficulty by the congregation. While elevating the chalice, the celebrant keeps his eyes fixed on it. He reverently lowers the chalice and covers it. He genuflects. Let us have another look at this.
Similimur postquam scinatum est, ac scipiens et precarum calicem sanctas ac venerabiles manus suas, item tibi gratias agens, benedixit, deditque discipulis suis dicens, ac scipite lubite exeo omnes. Hic est enim calix sanguinis mei, novi et eterni testamenti, mysterium fidei, qui pro vobis et pro multis effundetur in remissionem peccatorum. Et quotiescumque feceritis, in me memoriam facietis.